Yep. Okay. So I see some of you are already dressed up for this evening. We won't take a lot of time today, but we did want to come back and report on the site visit, the HLC site visit. We had an exit session with the site visiting team yesterday, and we were eagerly awaiting to hear, what we'd done well and what we might want to do more of. And they cited HLC protocol. So it's a different kind of report from a sort of comprehensive review. It was a quality review. And basically, they told us that they had enjoyed the visit. They particularly acknowledged Jay and said nothing at all fell between the cracks. They like that. And basically, over the next of today and the next few days, they're going to be finishing off their report. While they were here, they had some open sessions. They started writing, probably started writing before they came on site, because we gave them a lot of documentation before they actually came. So it wasn't just the visit here. That's when they come in and they talk to various groups and ask if we know what's going on and if we can cite evidence of things that were happening that were consistent with what was put into the report. But basically from there, they are an information gathering team. They're gathering evidence, and they'll produce their report. There are two parts to that report. There's an actual report of what they call the assurance system, quality assurance system, and then there is a federal compliance component of the report where they talk about whether we're in compliance with federal requirements. They will submit a draft in about 30 days, and we'll get to see it. So that's the next step where we know something. We'll be about 30 days from now, and we have an opportunity to review that report, and we're allowed to address any errors or omissions, any errors in fact or omissions in that report. So that we can't say, well, we don't like what you said or you got it all wrong, unless there's an obvious factual difference there. Then that report, once it's finished, goes forward to the Institutional Actions Council, and anything that the site visiting committee, the site visiting team writes is in the form of only a recommendation to the HLC. So it's not a decision even at that point. So that report goes forward, and then the team leader works with our ALO, what does that stand for? Accreditation Liaison Officer at HLC, and they finalize the report. So, and then that report goes forward, and sometime in March, April sort of time period, the larger HLC group will see it and will make a decision and will let us know what that decision is. Now, all the signals were pretty good. No, they were smiling on the last day. That could be for various reasons. I realize, it's finished. We're almost done. But they seemed very, very pleased. They seemed pleased with the different interactions they'd had. We think there are two areas they asked a lot of questions about, and you probably all heard them, but we had a lot of questions about diversity and how are we addressing diversity, and what do we think about diversity, and what does it mean to this institution. And they asked a lot of questions about communication, because we'd hit on communications in our report too, so they focused a lot on that. I have no idea what else they might come up with, but we think they might well have some not issues, but some recommendations in that area that we look at those areas. But again, anything is fair game for the report. So one of the things I wanted to do was to thank everyone for their participation, and I have a long list of people to thank, so bear with me, please. The first group is the AQIP committee. These are the authors of the system portfolio and the coordinators for the mock visit we had a while ago. So Jay Call, Chris Olson, Mark Hawkes, Dana Hoff, Shannon Bosted, Jack Waters, Casey Fodness, Nick P, Billy Hokeman, Christy Allam, Susan Slaughter, Erin Klein, and Mary Francis. So we should thank, they put together that report that they were carrying with them and everything that went with it. Then we had the HLC Steering Committee, who were the authors for the Quality Highlights report and the CQR visit. So that was Jay Call, Richard Hansen, Scott McKay, and Judy Dittman. So thanks to all of you for putting that together. And then we had federal compliance, which has become a bigger and bigger issue over time, you probably realize. So the federal compliance filing team was Jake Hall, Denise Grayson, Kathy Calise, Sarah Rasmussen, Christy Ullum, Jeff Dittman, Jane Utek, Kelly Kopsel, Marcus Gostecki, Heath Abram, Scott McKay, and Susan Slaughter. So thanks to all of you too. And then we want to give some special thanks to people who were involved sort of behind the scenes, might not have been quite as visible, but we have Barb Stacey, Suraj Mahat, Meenakshi Pokaral, who took numerous requests for updating the DSU website. Christy Ullum, we had considerable table changes and data requests through the systems portfolio compilation. Donna Forbosch and Gail Coyle, and I put in Chef Justin in there. For logistics, the food, they particularly like the salmon we had for lunch with the regents, they like that. Food and parking for the visits, and we had welcome gift for the reviewers. Susan Slaughter did logistics, flights, hotel, for the mock visit, CQR visit, and overall support from beginning to end on all the bits and pieces that needed to be pulled together. Erin Klein reviewed multiple versions of the Federal Compliance and Quality Highlights Report. Mary Francis reviewed the systems portfolio for assumed practices and criteria for accreditation cross-referencing. Stephanie Batts set up technology to support the systems portfolio writing and own cloud assistance. Ryan English, Carrie Hall, Deb Tech, Kathy Calise for attending sessions despite last-minute changes. We had a bunch of people come in from the community. We had 3 regents and the new executive director of the Board of Regents. We had people from organizations in the Madison community and in the Sioux Falls community come for the alumni and community meeting as well, and that was a very good meeting, a very positive meeting. And then, of course, we thank our peer review team who came in. We thanked them yesterday while they were still around the table. So I think all in all, I think we can breathe a sigh of relief. The process is done. We can't do much more about it at this point. So it's like one of those things, you know, you can forget about it for a while, except maybe Jay. You'll probably still think about it, Jay. But then as soon as we get the report back, we'll review it, and that will give us a sense of the tenor of the recommendations that will be going forward to the full HLC. It's like this with all of these, you know, you build up and there's an expectation at the end, and we all sat around the table yesterday and they said, well, we have a protocol here, and we're not going to tell you very much except the process. So that was disappointing. But I wanted to ask you, since we're here, to invite you to talk about what you learned through the process, whether there were questions you thought were particularly good that we might want to address ourselves in a little bit more detail, or thoughts on moving forward. We know, and we've postponed until after this HLC visit, the beginning preparations for, yes, the next strategic plan, which will sort of start moving some initiatives forward in the spring. But do you have any reactions, thoughts, suggestions? Yeah. Mark?
I can talk loud enough, everyone can hear me. It was brought up at the faculty meeting that there's a Board of Regents list of programs that have sort of low enrollment, and that those are maybe endangered programs.
They do have a list of low enrollment programs. We don't have very many on the list, and they're on a watch list. And so we can go back to the regent and say, well, you know, we're working on it, and here's our plan. And they will continue to watch, and then we're held accountable for whatever it is we said we're doing. But Scott, you want to address that more detail? I think there are only 3 on that list.
Yeah, we have a few programs, but actually we're probably better off than anybody else in the regental. By the time we end up with our reorganization this year, with what we've just done with our math programs and specializations, we'll only have about 3 on the watch list, and actually those are getting pretty close to they'll make the 25 this year. Of course, now they've moved the bar to 35, so it'll take us another year or 2 to catch up to that. Other than 3 or 4 education ones, which are, you know, nationally, those are there, but they're not going to fool with the education ones. So we're only going to have 2 or 3 on that watch list, and they have all bullet. Actually, we looked at them the other day. Doreen and I looked at them. They look very healthy, and they're growing. So we're going to be in really good shape.
because Scott gave me a report at the end of the last AAC meeting.
You may want to watch that on the report then, because what Mark's referring to, the HLC reviewer said you have a high number, and he threw out a number like 40 or something. So there, you may want to watch to make sure
That might be an error of fact, maybe. Maybe they misread a report and something.
they were looking at certificates.
Yep.
They probably looked at the list where we terminated a lot of old
Yeah.
changed program names.
But anyway,
Yes. Yes. That's good.
that could be something to
That's good.
make sure that that's communicated.
Yep. We'll take note of that. Other questions, concerns, suggestions? Yes.
Just to clarify a little bit about the education programs, at the last Education Discipline Council, Dr. Turman said that he suggested that all of the regional universities get together and perhaps offer some of the secondary methods courses as a group, because we all have small numbers. And he said if we're showing collaboration between the universities, we're automatically off the small section list, or the small programs list. So that's probably one way that we could do this. So for example, maybe we would teach the math methods one year, somebody else would teach the secondary science methods, somebody else would teach, well, nobody else is going to do business and computer ed because we're the only ones that have it, but you know, it would be in a rotation. So there would be some opportunities for collaboration, and then that would take us out of that problem.
Thank you. But it does highlight the issue of reports that are prepared, and if people don't know what exactly is being reported and how, then it's easy to misunderstand what's there. We did have an interesting benefit of having the HLC visit here. We had, as you know, the Board of Regents has hired a new executive director, Paul Barron, and he was here for a day and a half. And so we had an opportunity to really give him exposure to all the different things that are going on here. And he then, it was interesting to watch him. He was going, well, nobody's told me that before, or I didn't know this. So he developed sort of I wouldn't say an in-depth, but a much better understanding of Dakota State and what we've been doing and what we intend to do than he would have had otherwise. And so I think he's probably spent more time here than he has at any of the other campuses, and that's to our benefit long term. Anything else? I told you it would be short, but I didn't want to cancel it. You might have thought something was wrong if we'd cancelled it, so we thought we'd go ahead with this. Well, other than that, have a great Halloween. Goodbye to Marcus. He's off. Where are you? There you are. Good luck. We'll see you back and forth occasionally, I'm sure. He's not allowed to recruit on campus, however. Just anyone sees him recruiting, he's not allowed to do that. But thank you very much, and thanks all of you for your effort and for participating in all the different meetings in the preparation and so on. And as soon as we have something that we can share with you, we will let you know. Okay, thanks.